Kelly in Focus. I'm Barb Nadeau. Well, the weather's changing, and with that, a lot of new opportunities. Our guests today include Ann Engelhardt. She is the Executive Director of Kendall County PADS. We're going to talk with Lieutenant Norm Allison from Plano Police and Danielle Tully representing the Plano Area Chamber of Commerce. So stay with us. We've got lots of great information to share.
Did you know dragging chains can spark a wildfire?
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Ann Engelhardt is our first guest today. Ann, thank you so much for coming. I think the story of what you've done with Kendall County PADS is phenomenal. And how many years has it been now that you've been doing this?
Thank you for inviting me to share the story about PADS. Kendall County PADS stands for Public Action to Deliver Shelter, and we are now going into our 10th winter of offering overnight temporary safe shelter to homeless people. And they also receive a meal, a hot home-cooked meal, and in the morning they get a breakfast. They leave with a sack lunch with sandwiches of their choice and other goodies. And best of all, they get the warm hospitality of the volunteers that help at this program.
I've met a lot of your volunteers throughout these last 10 years, and I think about you often because when it starts to get colder, I think about the fact that somebody has to give shelter, and we're just worried about bundling up. But tell us a little bit more about the homeless population in our area.
Well, 10 years ago, I think people didn't even think in general that there were homeless people in our own county, but there are. And we've served 475 people over the past 9 winters. We think that's significant. We average probably around 60 guests during the winter, not all at once, of course, because our shelter sites are set up to host about 20 at maximum. So over the course of the winter, we'll see men and women, sometimes moms with little ones, children occasionally, sometimes a pregnant mom, someone who has been a veteran and has become homeless. All kinds of circumstances cause people to become homeless. Most are without jobs, and at least half are without a car. So they are looking for a safe place to stay and a meal, and our doors are open to them.
And it's an interesting problem that we have in our area because Kendall County is so rural. So tell me, where are your locations and when do you open up?
We have 7 locations, one each night of the week, and that means our homeless guests do need to travel from place to place. Our locations, we have 4 in Yorkville, 2 in Oswego and 1 in Boulder Hill. If you made the circuit directly from place to place, it would be 47 miles to get from site to site. These are the churches that have opened their doors to help us provide a place to have them sleep and a fellowship hall where they can eat and visit and so on. Since it's such a long distance, Kendall County PADS also provides, without charge to our guests, some transportation. So we can get them from city to city. Sometimes they do have to walk. When they leave, for example, on a Monday morning, they might go to a fast food place for an hour or 2, and then they usually end up at the public library, where they also are welcomed. We're grateful for our libraries. And so 4 mornings a week and at least 4 nights a week, they have Kendall Area Transit has been a wonderful organization to work with. And we're paying for those rides, but they've also provided us routes, dependable routes, so that we can get our guests from place to place.
This is interesting because you just said you have to pay for the bus route, and then you obviously need all these locations and people to set up pads to sleep on, and then there's food to be purchased and cooked. And how do you do all this? Tell me about the volunteer opportunities.
The most important and most critical part of PADS is the volunteer force that we have. And every position in PADS is volunteer. It's 100% volunteer work, and people come to do one night a month for about 4 to 4.5 hours, just one night a month. That's 6 times in a whole winter. And they can sign up to do a first shift, which runs approximately 6:30 to 11. The second shift, they come in just a little before 11 and stay till 3. And the third shift, they come in shortly before 3 and stay till 7:15. And right now, our overnight shifts still need volunteers very, very much. I know that's the hardest time for people to come and volunteer, but still we say it's just one time a month. Can you give 4 hours, just one time a month? There's nothing they need to do outside of PADS. It's not like being on other committees and organizations. Just come and be yourself. But we need our volunteers in order to keep our doors open. We can't just say, oh, well, we're staffed in first shift in the last 2 hours of the morning. We have to be staffed every shift, every night for 180 nights.
Now, the volunteers that are coming for the check-in time, I'm sure there's checking people in, making sure they have what they need, letting them feel comfortable, and then in the morning hours, getting people out the door, and I know you give them a sack lunch.
Right. The middle of the night actually makes those lunches.
Oh, I was
while the
going to
guests are
ask,
sleeping.
what does that shift in the middle do when, from 11 to 3?
Well, they make the lunches, and they also do some just walk-through checks where the men and women and families are sleeping. We ask them to check a couple of times, but they have access to internet, and most of them bring their computers or phones, sometimes work for their work. We've got some people who like to play table games, cards, dominoes. They get acquainted with each other. We try to have 2 men and 2 women on every shift, so they have other people to help them keep awake. We can make coffee and leave some desserts out from the supper. So second and third shift work a lot like that.
Okay.
But the third shift ends with a lot of activity. Starting around 6 o'clock, our guests start waking up, and that involves a breakfast. It can be as simple as toast, cereal, but some of our volunteers like to bring in a dozen or 2 eggs and scrambled eggs for them, or even an egg casserole or something. And it gets pretty busy getting them checked out in the morning because they have to bring in their mattresses and get all their bedding checked off before they leave for the day.
So how does someone get signed up as a volunteer?
Great question.
And what do we have to do to be a volunteer?
Okay, the easiest and fastest way to become a volunteer is just simply go to our website, kendallcountypads.org, and you'll find a tab that says volunteer information. Follow it down, and there's a place to register. It would take about 2 to 3 minutes. Now, to be a volunteer, we just want you to be, this is new, 16 or older. We will accept 16 to 17-year-old teens if their parent signs up to do the same shift with them.
Well, that's wonderful. There's so many teens
Yes,
that are looking for that
service.
volunteer service time.
So we are actually opening our doors to older teens if they want to, take that challenge and that opportunity to do some service for their community. We do have some training times coming up on October 3rd, 6 to 8 o'clock at night at the Kendall County Health Department. We have a sort of a formal training. It'll be really interesting because there's a panel of presenters and a slideshow and all that. That's for all volunteers, even ones who may have missed that. But if they can't get to that, they're welcome to come anyway. Sign up because each of our 7 shelter sites has another kind of welcome back and kind of a refresher training for about an hour. And it usually is 1 week before we start. And if they can't make it then, and they think, I can't really even start this till November, December, we still welcome our volunteers. They can learn on the job.
That's fantastic. And it is always so nice to talk with you. And it always
Thank
goes
you.
so fast. But
It does.
thank you so much for what you're doing
Thank you.
for all of us.
Thank you for inviting me.
And we're going to take a short break. We'll be right back right after this.
I love taking care of my mom. It wasn't easy at first. She learned how to better communicate her needs.
And you learned how to not ignore yours.
I discovered how to make healthier meals.
And I discovered how much I enjoyed them.
Becoming a caregiver is a learning experience for everyone. Find articles, tips, and tools from experts and others who have been in your place. The Caregiving Resource Center at aarp.org/caregiving.
Lieutenant Norm Allison of Plano Police joins us now, and I want to thank you for being on our show. With the fall comes Halloween, and then right after that, the busy holiday season, so it's great to have you here on our show today.
Oh, thanks for having me. We always like to come out and give any information that we can and try and educate the public in any way possible. So.
Well, you're with Plano Police,
Yes.
and I understand that City of Plano is expanding trick-or-treat hours. So trick-or-treat's coming up later this month. Tell me about that. What are folks saying, and why did that happen?
Well, I think it's a good thing. It was brought to the City Council's vote on the last Monday night, and a lot of it has to do with maybe parents' work in this day and age. Everybody's working, trying to provide for their family, and also, it's that one night where the kids can go out and have a good time and try and get candy. And that 1 hour, in our opinion, at our organization wasn't a big deal, just because we try and preach to the officers to get out there and interact with the families and the kids that night and just make sure everybody's safe. So we thought that the 4 hours was a good thing for the families. And like I said, a night that kids can go and interact with others and try and have a good time.
Well, you said that the officers are going to be out. Are they going to be in cars? Are they going to be on the streets? What are your plans?
So good question. The events that'll probably be talked about later on with other guests, revolving around Halloween, we'll make sure that our officers are out doing foot patrols and just interacting with the public. But on the night of Halloween, a lot of times they'll be in their police cars. With windows down, just listening and, keeping an extra watch on all the kids out there and just making sure everybody's safe.
That's good. That's really good. Do you have any other advice as far as Halloween safety that you want to pass on to parents?
Good question. I mean, especially with the hours going into 8 o'clock, it is darker around this time of year. It's good to say, if you can, anybody over the age of 12 would be okay without their parents. They can walk around and be safe. If for some reason the parents are busy or have little ones at home and they can't get out, just to make sure that they're in bright clothing, I would also say that if they can use crosswalks, that's a really good thing, because then motorists that are out there can look out for the kids, and the crosswalks that are striped are a safe area for them to cross. And then a lot of times in Halloween, it's all about creativity and trying to get the best costume that they want, but just make sure it's good fitting. That way they're not tripping on their costumes. And probably the hardest thing to do would be, everybody likes to have a mask and to be somebody different, but I would just recommend, if they could and they're not with a parent, maybe to have face paint over that mask. That way they can walk safely and just make sure that they can get around town. And probably the last thing would be in Plano, we recommend, if they're going to participate in Halloween, as far as the homeowners, to have their light on. I would say to any child, just to make sure they go to the houses that are lit up and, that are acknowledging that I do want to participate in Halloween. That way they know it's a safe house that they can go to and get candy.
This has got to be one of the better parts of your job, when you get to work with families and people in a positive way. I know that the police have to do a lot of negative things, but I know that your police force gets involved in community events quite a bit.
It does. We definitely love giving back. For instance, we've done Halloween fun fairs before with the DARE program, and Cop on Top in May every year for Special Olympics. And our favorite one coming up after this season would be Shop with a Cop at Walmart. We just love to go in and try and raise money and give back to kids that might not have a lot of Christmas presents that time of year. And so anything we can find to give back. A couple of years ago, we were invited. We have a member on the Kendall County Triad. So now every summer, it's great to go and serve to the members of the Triad and our elderly community around Kendall County, and you meet people from that lunch, say out at Walmart or on your personal time, and it's like, I remember you from that lunch, and you just make that connection.
That's really nice.
Thank you.
Yeah. You were telling me right before the show, too, that you have a drug take-back day?
Yes, so we don't have a facility at our police department that people can turn in prescription drugs, but a couple years ago we partnered with the Kendall County Health Department at Arts on Fire in Plano and held a drug take-back day with the Chamber of Commerce. And so this year Walmart management reached out and they said it's a nationwide event on October 26th from 10 to 2, and Walmart would provide the location as long as our members of our department and other agencies showed up and were able to be there for citizens to come and turn in prescription drugs. So I reached out to the Kendall County Health Department, my chief reached out to other agencies, and now we're trying to partner with a few others to help us that day. And Walmart, members of the pharmacy will be on staff in case people have questions, but the main thing would just be to give that area where people can turn in their prescription pills. That way they're not laying around for children or other people that shouldn't have access to those.
Are there certain things that they will take back and won't take back?
Yeah, so the best advice that we're going to put out on flyers is no needles and then no liquids. So anything prescription pill wise, they can turn in, and then we'll be able to turn in later on that day to the Kendall County Sheriff's Office has a bin that we can actually go and secure that the medicines prior to being done that day.
And I think it's so important because back in the day, you know, they'd say, well, you definitely don't want anything going down the drain.
Right.
There were other ways that you could dispose of medications, but that's really not good. So
It's really not good. And what I like too is that it just brings everybody out to, you know, kind of like a meet and greet too. You know, after it turns into this dialogue where can't wait to see you guys next time, and do you have any other suggestions for us and all that. So really creates that dialogue with the community, not just taking their prescription pills and they walk away. So.
And you said that Take Back Day is going to be on October 26th.
Yes.
Okay. And then you also mentioned the DARE program. That's an older program. It's been around for a long time. Are you still participating in DARE?
We do. So, you know, the conversation has come up recently. Do we stay with the DARE program or transition to another hybrid version or the GREAT program, which is gang resistance? In the end, I feel that the main thing is just to keep that officer in the schools to bridge that gap between the kids, the teachers, the parents, and the police department, you know, and you'd be surprised, but, some naysayers will say DARE doesn't work. It's been around forever and we still have a drug problem, but you'll meet these kids later in life as adults and you still have that bond that you might have formed in the classroom, or they have somebody that they can go to and be able to air out their problems or try and figure out where to go from there when they're in a tough time.
I'm a big fan of DARE. I really think it's a good program myself, and you mentioned the GREAT program, which I don't know as much about, but I think gang resistance is also good. I vote for both, you know, but
Yes.
I really think I agree with you. It's so good to have that role model, have somebody in the classroom that they can approach and know on the street, but also I think the kids bring the information that they learn back home.
I do too, you know, and Chief Wool and I have talked many times on what do we do, you know, moving forward. Do we keep an officer in there? And it's definitely a no-brainer because, like you said, they have that forum where the kids can talk about anything that they need to. And, you know, it is a structured curriculum, but at the same time, there is time to answer their questions and provide that anonymous box, for lack of better terms, that they can ask questions and the officer can either answer it in front of the class or pull them aside after. And sometimes that has resulted in, you know, bringing in the social worker and teachers and provide that safe network for them when they wanted to reach out but maybe didn't feel comfortable before.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you've mentioned so many great tips and bits of information for parents and families. And I wanted to ask you about the resource officers or the liaison officers. Do you still have them in all the schools?
We do. So we have one that's in his responsibility is all of District 88. And
Okay.
so primarily he would be in the Plano High School and the middle school, but anytime, say, P.H. Miller were to call or one of the elementary education schools, then he can respond over there and help them out too.
Okay, so if someone wants to reach Plano Police directly, just to ask a question about any of these programs, can they get you online or on the phone?
Yes, so if they just call the main records office number, the 552-3122, they can call there and be patched through to either Officer Patton, who is our school resource officer, or myself or Chief, and we'd be happy to help them in any way. And then we have a Facebook page that they can go to and instant message and try our best to get back and answer their questions.
That's fabulous. Thank you.
Thank you very
Lieutenant
much.
Allison, for being here on our show.
Thanks for your time.
And we'll be back right after this.
I love taking care of my mom. It wasn't easy at first. She learned how to better communicate her needs.
And you learned how to not ignore yours.
I discovered how to make healthier meals.
And I discovered how much I enjoyed them.
Becoming a caregiver is a learning experience for everyone. Find articles, tips, and tools from experts and others who have been in your place. The Caregiving Resource Center at aarp.org/caregiving.
Did you know dragging chains can spark a wildfire?
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Danielle Tully joins us now. Danielle is a business person in the city of Plano and the Plano area, and also a member of the board of directors for the Plano Area Chamber of Commerce. Thanks for being on our show today.
Thank you for having me.
So I want to ask you about, well, just about business. I know that you are a very busy person, and you decided to become a member of the chamber, and now you're on the board of directors. What was it about the chamber that was so important? And what are the benefits for being a member of a chamber?
Well, there's quite a few. The reason I participated and went full in right away is I felt, as my position as a realtor, you want the best for the community that you serve. And so what better way than to become an integral part of the business community and giving back to the community through that business community.
I've seen that in you, because you are at every event that I ever go to. I see members of the chamber. I always see you.
Well, thank you. I try to make as many as possible.
Yeah, it's great. And now you're a member of the board of directors. So the Plano Area Chamber, how many members does it have?
We are just over 100, so about 110, 115 about now. We're we just sent out a bunch of re-ups, and we've had some new people, so I don't know the exact number, but around there we're hovering.
And it's an interesting area that Plano lands kind of right in that Route 34 corridor, and there's really no lines that, as far as business, as far as life, people go back and forth, county to county and community to community. So do you see a lot of overlap?
Absolutely. In fact, I just was at a Yorkville event yesterday, and I saw a lot of people who are part of Plano, part of Sandwich, a lot of back and forth. We all kind of try to support each other. The Chambers of Commerce try to support each other, and the businesses as well.
I think that kind of makes it better for everybody, who's not even involved in business, just trying to live their lives, to have that camaraderie and to have that connection, and actually a more diverse business climate, maybe.
I think you can, having that open communication allows everyone to have a bit more access to ideas, and then can serve other businesses, B2B better when you have that.
You were telling me before the show that you have a brand new website?
Yes, it was under construction for quite a long time, but thanks to a few volunteers, we are able to get planocommerce.org is our new website.
And what are we going to find there?
We'll have all of the members. We are making sure that we include our events that are coming up. We also post our new Plano Chamber Gazette, which is our newsletter. And we have a highlight of a business every Gazette. And businesses are allowed to kind of communicate with us what they would like if they have anything special coming up, if they have specials, if they're, for instance, the Hampton Inn had something together, so we were able to post that they were doing special rates for people who wanted a staycation.
So that's good. So that's someplace we should keep checking back to when you talk about events and things coming up, whether it's business related or community related. Now I want to switch gears a little bit, because this is the fall and Halloween's coming up, and you have quite a successful Halloween event in the city of Plano.
Yes, this will be our 4th year doing Treats on the Streets. It is going to be October 29th from 4 to 6 p.m. We will have, in years past, we've had about 50 or so businesses participate. It is down Main Street, through Reaper Center, and ends at Arts on Fire.
So you can kind of do a circle. You can go down Main Street either direction, but
correct.
And circle around, or you can go down Reaper Center's right there on Route 34
correct.
And turn the corner. Mm-hmm. So you kind of have a business loop there.
Yes. So most of the businesses on Main Street and Reaper Center are kind of handing out candies. In years past, what we do at Arts on Fire is that we kind of have a little bit more interactive. So those businesses in the parking lot have something interactive. So there's little games, coin, bag toss and things like that, just to kind of give a little bit fun activities to do instead of
So
in
not just
addition.
trick or treat, but
Correct.
there's areas where you can actually play and hang out for a while.
To make it a bit of a different event, you
Mm-hmm.
know, a little bit different, a little bit more interactive, and so the kids can stay down a little bit faster or longer. And
Well, I have to tell you, I have been involved in it before. I came the first time I ever participated and expected of maybe 300 or 400 kids, but you're topping the thousands.
I don't know if it's that many, but it's definitely several hundred that we have go through. And so we're very excited that it took off from the beginning. And as well, like, you know, we do sometimes get some criticism because it's a Tuesday, or, well, this year it's a Tuesday, but it's during the week instead of the weekend. But we wanted to give everybody an opportunity. There's, you know, once they get home from school, there's usually some downtime. And so this is one of those opportunities. And hopefully everybody through all the communities events out there, that this is one that they can get to if they can't get to the other ones.
Actually, I think it's a great thing to have it on a Tuesday or a Thursday or a weeknight, because our weekends get booked, you know, and this
Absolutely.
is an opportunity for them to have one more chance to get out. Kids love to get dressed up
Yes.
and you know, be somebody else, be a superhero of some sort, whether that's actually a superhero or a princess, you know, whatever, or a magical creature. They want to take on that persona and do something fun, and you're giving them more opportunities for play and imagination.
Exactly, yes. Just the 31st, you have another day to get dressed up and have fun and show off your costume.
Now, so that's Halloween. Do you have other things going on as you get into the winter months?
Well, yes, actually, I wanted to add that on Treats on the Streets, we added a new feature this year, which we are going to have 5 Bs, the fundraising company, the barbecue place. We are going to have that from 4:30 to 6:30. So as someone who's participated every year and has had kids go through, the first thing we're wondering as soon as it's over is, we've got to get something to eat real fast. So we thought we'd bring the food to you. And so those who are coming, you can either pre-buy tickets through Arts on Fire, or you can just buy day of, and it at least gives you something. We have hot dogs as well as barbecue available, so it gets a little something in your tummies besides just candy.
That's a great idea. Really, it is a great idea. Okay,
but
and then-
besides that, yes,
Okay.
we have a few new. We have the Scarecrow Scramble. We always do an annual golf outing, but this year we wanted to add a little something. It's very casual and informal. It's going to be at Cedardale on October 10th. Noon is what time we have lunch. We start lunch. Shotguns at 1 o'clock. We're doing 9 holes. Happy hour starts at 4, and you're out the door by 5 if you'd like to, or we have a discounted second 9 holes. But it's something, it's not serious. It's for people who don't know what they're, you know, you can know what you're doing, but if you don't know and you're hacking at the ball, it's
be
best
me.
ball. Yeah, it's best ball. So if you bring somebody who knows what they're doing, you can just have fun and try your best.
Oh my goodness. You know, Danielle, I'm going to have you on again, or another member of the Plano Area Chamber of Commerce, because I know you have a very full schedule throughout the year, and it's great to see what you're doing and what you're bringing to the community. I just want to thank you for sharing all this information about Treats on the Streets and the Scarecrow Scramble. And that's a mouthful.
Yes.
And just everything about the Plano Area Chamber. It's great to see what you're doing and all the new directions you're taking. So thanks for being with us on our show.
Thank you very much.
And that will do it for this edition of Fox Valley in Focus. We'll see you next time.